Hey, what's up? It's Ben Greenfield, and I hope you're ready to get your mind blown. No, I'm serious. I interviewed this guy who I actually first discovered in a book by Dave Asprey called Headstrong. Really good book. And in that book, Dave talks about this thing called mitochondrial meditation. And he describes this special form of meditation that he was taught by a guy who has treated the presidents of multiple countries and a guy who flies in for Tony Robbins' big events to help keep Tony at his peak, and who develops this special meditative form of energy that, in the case of Dave's book, increases the mitochondria and helps to control mitochondrial health. And it's one of the craziest, most unique practices I've ever heard of. So I had to look this guy up. So I hunted him down and I got him on the show for you. I didn't just do that. I actually went down and hung out with him for 3 days and worked with him and had all his treatments done on me. And it's crazy. He was a double board certified gastroenterologist at UCLA, and he still practices in LA, but he literally traveled the world for like 10 years studying ancestral medicine and in Eastern medicine, all these 5,000-year-old energy tactics that are absolutely going to blow your mind. And I've personally, since we recorded this episode, been using the energy treatments that he gave to me, and also the meditation series and the things that he gives you towards the end of this podcast. Works really well. And the cool thing is most of it you can do kind of just like through osmosis. Like I'll turn on his meditation tracks when I'm on an airplane sitting around and just kind of do them via osmosis while I'm doing other things, and they still work. And I still do the exercise that he taught me in the morning and in the evening. It only takes me like 30 seconds, but it's pretty amazing. You gotta find out more about this dude. So I will let you hear it straight from the horse's mouth. Oh, and one other thing, the article and the video straight from Barry, I actually have on my new website that you may have heard about the other day. I launched a brand new company. Some of the top content, top superfoods, top supplements, and a whole line of brand new products that I'm developing. It's called Kion, as in, fittingly enough, ki, energy, life force, prana, chakra, breath, ki. So you go to getkion.com/Barry, as in the name of this guy you're about to hear, getkion.com/Barry. And over there is the full video for this podcast, because we video recorded the whole thing. So it's kind of cool if you want to see what he looks like and what he's doing. An exclusive article that he wrote, and also a really cool meditation video that you normally have to pay to get. He basically put it right there for you on that site. So getkion.com/Barry. Now, before we jump into today's show is brought to you by lavender. I'm serious, lavender. Did you know that knights back in the day used to use lavender as a scent, as like a deodorant, like the knights roaming around the French countryside? So it's not just a scent for calm serenity. Apparently it's a scent that all those lady princesses back in the day gushed over when the knights came by, smelling like lavender. Why am I telling you this? Because for both guys and for girls, I think lavender smells really nice on girls too. There's this new organic deodorant that's clean enough to eat if you really actually wanted to chew on a stick of deodorant. It's made from coconut oil and arrowroot powder and a little bit of baking soda, and then, of course, lavender with a little lemon and rosemary. It's amazing stuff, and it's just one of the many personal care items you can get from my friends over at Onnit. ONNIT. You go to bengreenfieldfitness.com/Onnit, and not only can you get lavender, but you can get some kettlebells to go along with your lavender, or some of their amazing little foods and supplements, all sorts of things. Go to bengreenfieldfitness.com/Onnit, and that will automatically save you 10% off of your purchase. This podcast is also brought to you by a friend of mine. I'm actually at his house right now. He just let me taste some of his new little formulations. You're going to love them. But it's this company called Organifi. They make green juices and red juices, and the green juice has this thing called moringa in it. That's known as the horseradish tree, because it's just like slightly spicy. One of the highest protein containing plants that exist. When you dry the leaves and you turn them into like a powder, it is incredibly rich, not just in protein, but vitamin B6, vitamin C, riboflavin, iron, antioxidants. It can lower blood sugar levels, according to science. It can reduce inflammation. It can lower cholesterol. It can protect against arsenic toxicity. If you're a rice eater, this would be something to include in your diet. And they've put this and a whole bunch of other superfoods into this green juice that Drew's company makes. So it's called Organifi Green Juice, And you can get this powder, any of their other things, for 20% off. You just go to bengreenfieldfitness.com/Organifi. It's Organifi with an I. bengreenfieldfitness.com/Organifi. And that will get you 20% off. Enjoy. And now let's move on to the episode. And remember, you can access the video and everything to go along with it at getkion.com/Barry. In this episode of the Ben Greenfield Fitness Show,
every single time that you're confronted by something that you really don't know how you're going to do it over there in this program, it's set up that you're not going to be able to do it unless you pull in the energy at the next level, unless you expand. Remember, you don't have a choice on this planet. You're either going to be expanding every moment, which is great, wonderful, growing, getting better. It's the way the law of physics is. Or you can keep contracting until finally you're in a black hole and you're gone. Or you've got terrible arthritis, or you've got terrible disease.
He's an expert in human performance and nutrition. Voted America's top personal trainer and one of the globe's most influential people in health and fitness. His show provides you with everything you need to optimize physical and mental performance. He is Ben Greenfield.
Power, speed, mobility, balance. Whatever it is for you, that's the natural movement. Get out there. When you look at all the studies done, studies that have shown the greatest efficacy.
All the information you need in one place, right here, right now, on the Ben Greenfield Fitness Podcast.
Welcome to the show. We are officially live. Today and the day before have been some of the most crazy days of my life. I was speaking with my wife yesterday. I was walking barefoot in Arlington Gardens here in Pasadena, California. I called my wife and I told her that I was in a deep, deep funk in a good way, meaning that I was experiencing body, mind, and spirit energies in a way that I never had before. And it was all the fault of the guy sitting across from me, who I happened to meet just 3 days ago face to face, and who has already transformed my life. I had to get him on a show for you so that he, Dr. B, can explain the mind-blowing energy that he's tapped into, that he's passed on to me, and that is, I guarantee, going to change your life. And Dr. B, you are a successful 30 years, double board certified gastroenterologist, and all of a sudden, you went off the deep end and you became the Indiana Jones of fringe alternative healing methods that I'd never heard of before until a few days ago. Tell me about your journey.
Okay, the story could be for days, I could tell you, or we can condense it for this opportunity we have right now.
We've got a little bit of time. So start from the beginning. Start from your days as a physician.
All right. So, and I still am a physician, gastroenterologist, and internist in Los Angeles, and still have 2 practices at UCLA and private practice. When I started out 30 years ago, I was at UCLA working, and it was fantastic. I loved it. It was when we had the breakthrough in endoscopy, which is flexible endoscopy, and that really made me happy because then we could really help people without hurting them, without cutting. So it was great.
Those are the long cameras you can go up inside.
Yeah, go up inside this way through your abdomen, other places. But the key is that it was a revolution at that time, and I love that part of it. And I did research in that, and I taught endoscopy. It was really, really wonderful experience. I really loved my the fact that I'd done research and it was successful, that I had private practice, already 2 of them. I sort of rose to the top of my career very early because I went to the best places to learn, which is always my goal. I sort of didn't want to, if I was going to learn and be a doctor, I wanted to make sure that I was the best doctor you could ever get to take care of you. I wanted to be that person standing there for you. And as I made it to that top position, then I suddenly, not suddenly, but rapidly had two 2 offices and a lot of patients. I was having a great time. And then, like you referred to, I was one day walking past the emergency room, and I don't know if you've ever been in an emergency room. But it's not.
I have, actually. I used to volunteer in the emergency room. Excellent. Although this was in Moscow, Idaho, I would go and it would just be deathly quiet for the whole night. Sometimes, somebody would wander in and maybe they'd had a little too much to drink or tripped over a curb. But my experience with an emergency room was pretty mellow.
Oh, good. That's not the experience that I had every day. I had a inner city university. We take everything. Doesn't matter what your pay scale is, what your problem is. We'll take it, and they just wheel them in, and you're the doctor. Have to take care of that person and get them triaged to the right place if they make it out of the emergency room. So I worked in the emergency room, and I worked on the floor, an endoscopy suite, a surgical suite, and it depended on what I was doing each month. But as I walked past the emergency room, I heard people, the usual screaming and people in pain, and I'm the kind of person, and it's never changed. It's only gotten more intense. That I really get bothered by people who are suffering. It bothers me personally. It's not only that I can feel their discomfort, but I feel like this immense concern for them that I wanted to somehow quickly find out what's wrong with them when I was just doing Western and get them out of it as quickly as possible and not use any drugs and make it as straightforward and within your body's healing capacity right away. So I was really happy about endoscopy, and I was very not happy about people screaming and yelling in pain and bleeding and suffering. Although I wasn't upset about taking care of it, I just didn't like that you had to go through it.
Right.
So I went upstairs, like I always do, on the, 4th floor, and I was time to discharge my patients who I'd done endoscopy on. And they'd all had successful results. We'd taken tumors out, and they'd get to go home the next day, and one chart after another I'm filling out. And then one day, I think as I mentioned to you earlier, I went in this one lady's room, who's a nice older lady, and I sat on her bed.
You were telling me about her, Mrs. Rodriguez.
Yeah, Mrs. Rodriguez. Okay. And it's so funny that I knew her before, and she was so happy that she's good to go, and that all she was worried about is could I cook my culinary dishes that come from South America and Central America and Mexico. She had all these dishes she was worried about. I said, no, your intestine's fine. We took the tumor and you can do whatever you want. So she was happy, and then she says, she started complimenting me, and so then I took her hand and thanked her. But then at that point that I was thanking her, I was sitting on the bed, sun's coming in. It's one of those moments you feel really great, sort of an ethereal moment. And I looked at her and I said, I've been thinking for quite a while, Ms. Rodriguez, that I love endoscopy, but wouldn't it be great if people didn't even have to come to the hospital at all? Wouldn't it be great if people's lives, instead of going like this, after a certain age, it's all downhill? You've seen those books? Right. There's even philosophies about that and how to handle the stages of life. Really. And I said, wouldn't it be great if you didn't have those stages defined for you in advance? What if you could get stronger every day? What if you get more healthy? What if you could actually improve and avoid all this? No tumors, stay healthier, be more able next
Even
year.
As you get older.
Absolutely, as life goes on. Yeah, that's your process. And she said, well, you've done so many things here at UCLA. Everybody knows you. And if anybody can do it, you can do it. Why don't you try? And so I think at that moment I was looking at her going, yeah, I've already finished accomplishing all the things I wanted to do in terms of getting degrees and getting ability to go anywhere and use the field of gastroenterology and internal medicine. I'd already learned that and was really able to do that and teach that. So I said, I'm going to go on a search and look and see what's there. Well, this was at a time that, 30 years ago, I don't know if anybody in the audience knows what it's like 30 years ago in Los Angeles, but we didn't have anything alternative at all. Matter of fact, we didn't have the word alternative. All we had was maybe donut shops.
And it's pretty crazy driving around LA now and seeing all the acupuncture.
Now it's all juice shops
and Erewhon and vegetarian. All the juice shops. Yeah,
yeah, it's wonderful. There wasn't anything vegetarian. There wasn't anything that.
So 30 years ago, none of this.
None of this. We didn't have croissants. There was no Starbucks. Nothing. So
no Starbucks. How did you survive?
I don't know. It was tough. No organic, even. Except in a certain way, if you knew certain farmers. But what was really interesting to me was that I looked around L.A. and I spent a lot of time, started here, almost all my spare time that I could find. And you would say, how do you have spare time anyway? You're doing surgery every day? And I still am. And you're also writing research and lectures and things. When did you have time? I made the time because it was that important to me to find it, because I felt this is my new really thing that's going to be the chance for me to actually fulfill my life goal for why I really want to be a doctor anyway, which is, to have everybody's life work. That's what I wanted. Whether it's physically or mentally or your goals, that's your self-expression in your full health. Because health is everywhere, your brain, your heart, your emotions, your way, your approach to life. So I studied with chiropractors, osteopaths. I learned all about applied kinesiology. I learned about all the different. I had a great time. I'm the only medical doctor. They said most medical doctors trying to throw us out of Los Angeles.
Right.
In those days, there were even things in the Senate government in Los Angeles, not Los Angeles, I mean in Sacramento, where they were trying to kick chiropractors out. They were trying to limit what they could do. They couldn't prescribe anything, not at all, except certain things. And it was not a friendly environment for them. It wasn't a friendly environment for massage people. I learned massage. It wasn't a friendly environment for anybody who did anything that wasn't, by a certain rule or if they came out of the legalese of Sacramento.
So you're this allopathic doc traveling around to all these osteopaths, chiropractors. Well, when you came to them, what were you telling them?
They were all in search. I'd already been in practice for a while, so all of them were my clients. They were already patients for GI. They'd all either had ulcers at some time, or they'd had problems, strictures in their esophagus, or they had a tumor that I'd taken out. So I'd known them. So I'd call them and say, "Could I come by and just hang out? Would that be okay?" And they'd go, "Are you kidding? Sure, but you're an MD. Are you sure you want to do that?" And I said, "Yeah, I do. I want to see what y'all got." And I loved it. I learned that material. It was wonderful. And then more and more, I would say, I need to travel now. And so I contacted a travel agent, and I started to travel up and down the coast of California. Every 2 months, every 3 months, she'd set up another trip. And, Esalen was available in those days, and all of the wonderful experiences in the different forests up in Northern California. The people were experimenting with everything. There was even I think you mentioned the water tank, the lily tank. Float tank. In those days, they call it the lily isolation tank. Fantastic. It was all great. But I wasn't going to be able to take a lily tank back to UCLA, and also that wouldn't get you not to go there. I want you to be able to get better on your way so you don't need to do anything.
Right.
Not even have to take any medication. Or if you're going to do something, it's going to be something that supports you to stay stronger and stronger. So I wasn't against penicillin or any of the drugs. I just wanted people I wanted people to have a choice. And the choice would be your body feels good, feels healthy, maybe your body can heal itself, which wasn't real popular back then. Do you understand? Back then, it's like, well, there's certain ways to handle everything. You do this surgery for this, or if you take this medication for this, or you do this for... Everything had rules back then, and I was going in my heart of hearts that people somehow could have a life where they got better each day. But I wasn't getting any validation from any of the doctors who knew that I was taking these trips every couple months, and because they had to cover my practice. And they would always go, "Where are you going? You already have a great practice."
So you have these doctors taking care of your practice as you're off traveling up and down the coast of California, seeking all these alternative methods of health. And anybody who's
a medical doctor out there will say, "You did that?" I mean, that puts your practice at risk, because most people, once they cover your practice, they try to steal your practice and take it to them. And so they're always going, "Aren't you worried we're going to steal your practice?" I went, "No, I'm not worried. I've got a really big goal, and I want to." And finally, I explained what my goal was, and they all went, "Are you kidding? What are you doing? You're looking for the fountain of youth. You're already at the top. You're at the top. You should just keep making contributions here in Western medicine. Look at all your degrees." And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep doing surgeries every day when I'm here, but I really want to look for this." So I went to, like I told you, the middle of the United States, Southwest. Got great experience with the original Americans who occupied this continent. And in those days, since there wasn't any real news about what their vision quests were and what goes on in those teepees and those.
So you went and spent time with the Native Americans and did a vision quest.
Yeah, but it's not like a vision quest like what people go on today. It wasn't like something like that, or like Outward Bounds or anything where people sort of have a regimented thing. It was rough, and it was.
Where was
wild.
Your vision quest?
A vision quest was all over or not just one place. It was all over the Southwest, and more than one place I had to go to. And Sedona was just one of the places. There was a number of places which got me ready for my later trip to China, which is the big win. Because there was times like I don't know if you've ever been in El Paso, Texas. Have you ever gone down there?
I haven't been to El Paso.
Yeah,
no.
Well, if you ever gone to certain parts of Texas, the temperature there can just go up.
Oh, yeah.
Up.
Absolutely.
And, they had a whole way of, you should be able to tolerate this and handle it. You should be able to sit in a teepee where there's all this smoke and handle that. And then you should be able to keep growing out of the experience. And some people have written about it now. There's some popular books, but none of that. I wasn't going to bring the teepee back to UCLA. And I wasn't going to bring the Vision Quest back to UCLA. It was not going to give you a chance to get better and better. It was just an add-on, to be a plug-in like we do with software now. So I said, well, I guess I got to travel even more. So I told the travel agent I need to go other places. Let's start with Central America. So I went to Central America. That was just phenomenal. They have great herbs there. They have all kinds of interesting wild things in the forest that we don't even have here. Birds,
like jungle medicine, plant medicine, those type of things.
Jungle medicine, plant medicine. Very weird looking shamans who come looking, with pain all over their face and right out of the jungle and say, take this and this will solve this problem. And of course, even though I tried all those things, which I know people are trying them now, and
you're talking about like ayahuasca and things like that.
There's things stronger than ayahuasca.
Like what? Tell me about something you tried in Central America.
There's leaves down there that they used to burn, and then they would condense down to this tiny residue. And then you take the residue, and then and this would be an initiation process. So I start at 10 at night, and then finish at 3 and then your real process starts at 2, 3 in the morning, and then they scrape the residue and you eat it. And then after you ate it, then, of course, it would be like your experiences. I'm sure people taking psychedelics or something like that, but it wasn't just psychedelic. It was like all of a sudden you were transposed to another location that you didn't even know was going to happen. And it was completely unsafe. It was completely out of the medical paradigm. I did it because I was still looking, and I just said, if anybody's going to do this, like I told Mr. Rodriguez, I'm going to do it.
So you weren't just researching this. If you were actually just trying you're guinea pigging a lot of these things.
Yeah, I was making sure that, because no one's going to do this. No one's going to risk themselves to actually find out what this is during those days. Remember, the days I was around, remember all the doctors wore white coats, wore a tie all the time. Remember the black glasses everybody wore? They went like this and the short haircuts?
Yeah.
That was it.
Smoked a lot of cigarettes too, right?
Everybody smoked cigarettes, right. Believe it or not, when I finally went to France, because at Central America, I didn't want to bring the leaves back to, it would never get through the IRB, all that stuff, because it was all impure.
You can't bring giant-ass leaves back to a hospital in L.A.
Yeah, and tell them, I want you to burn these, make a residue, you're going to have great treatments of this. No, so that didn't work, and then from there, 3 months later, or 4 months later, I went to South America. South America was fantastic. I know people have gone there since then, over these years, and they have many modalities down there, including shamans, including healers, all those people I studied with and got to learn so much of their techniques. But I wasn't about to dress up with all this lipstick all over my face and my hair going down like this, because they were very serious.
Maybe you could look for little bobby pins in your hair. And the X-shape.
They were very serious that if you're going to walk on these, these blades here, which was one of the tests they had.
Oh, wow.
If you're going to walk on those and balance, you had to be able to be sort of in this costume. But it was okay. I wanted to see what they had because I was interested in the other side of the world. I wanted to see, is there something else? And I always knew that, every coin, you look at it, it's wonderful, but it has another side. Everything has two sides in this world. And I said, where's the other side? What's the other side besides everything's Western medicine, science? Maybe there's some other side that's sort of our natural ability to heal. So what was cool about South America, besides the burning leaves and the herbs, they had huge crystals. And I'm not kidding, not small. I mean, a crystal as big as this table, as big as you are, and they'd be a crystal cave like that. And you'd go in there and you'd meditate. There'd be maybe running water even underneath, a little river there, or a small lake. And they had great meditation experiences with these crystal caves. And you could actually tell. And some
people be aware of this, but crystals, they store and they release a lot of energy.
They had a whole process. Remember, people, when I was there, they had to make reservations because I was there long enough. I knew how to get in, talk to the people, and because I was a medical doctor. Matter of fact, that's how I got to go to all these places. Is I kept teaching endoscopy. Remember, still a teacher back in Los Angeles and UCLA. So I would always make arrangements with the doctors in the area.
So that's how you got your way into these locations, is you would come in and you do work.
So I would work with the doctors and say, hey, you want to learn some of our techniques? We'd write letters back and forth, no cell phones, okay, and just land phones, and they would go, sure, let's do it. So I would teach information, then after we'd have a bunch of great experience together, I'd say, hey, what else do you have? And they go, what do you mean what else do you have? You've got everything. You're from the West. I go, yeah, but I want to know about your culture. Tell me, please. And so they go, well, you want to know what my grandmother does? I go, yeah. What is your grandmother? Well, she goes to this guy. We have to drive outside the city.
You flip the tables.
Yeah, we have to go outside the city. I say, can I meet your grandmother? They go, yeah, really? You want to meet her? You know, they would always thought that I was complete, even there. So back at home in Los Angeles, it was like, you are so not acceptable in what you're doing. This is not the way to act. You should be wearing your dark glasses like this, tar rims. And
why can't you just fit in?
Why can't you just fit in and keep making your contributions here? You're already doing great. You have 2 practices. Yeah. What's the problem? They didn't see the problem was the angst of feeling people's pain and not wanting to ever have pain. Yeah. Feeling people's anxiety or frustration that they want to compete and they can't get their body to succeed in
and only ever having your Band-Aid, your flexible endoscopy tube, and your penicillin.
You're only able to help them afterwards. Right. Even in those days, they had, Schwarzenegger had his thing with the experimental drugs and everything. People knew about that, but it still wasn't something that was really going to keep you healthy. It was just something to compete with. I wanted you to be able to compete with your real body, the one that allows you to break a 4-minute mile, without any enhancements. So what happened was in South America, you couldn't bring the crystals back. It was too heavy, it's too much. Yeah. Plus, how many crystal caves could I make? And even if I made one, who's going to pay for all that? And it did work, but because people signed up, like I said, to come in there for tumors, for cancers. Sort of like going to Lourdes, France, place where people went and hoped that something would help them. But it was really statistically very poor in terms of getting great results. And I really felt there was something real that would be more dramatic. Not something we go, like in Western medicine, we have certain medicines we can either go, this will work in 20% of the people. And then 10% will be a placebo effect, and the rest of the people won't work in. Well, that wasn't going to make my search worthwhile. I wanted to see if there was something real, something that we could really find that could help people. So after South America, every 3 months, this is going on for now a couple of years, and I'm getting no support from anybody in my medical building. Everybody's going, where are you going this time? Who do you think you are? Like you said, you think you're Indiana Jones or something? I mean, really. And I said, are you looking for the fountain of youth? That's always like kidding me. Like, it doesn't exist. And so I after South America and Central America, I must say that I did travel also to many other places. We can go into the Philippines. We're doing psychic surgery.
Psychic surgery.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I could go into it more, but it's more about how you can treat people. There's a whole technique about how to actually use energy to. There's many people who don't know how to do that, and they present themselves on YouTube to say that they can, but there actually are a few people who could do it. And I was fortunate enough to train with two of the guys who actually were the most prominent at that time. But even then, that wasn't going to go well, you see, because they're all working on people who already have a problem. I want you to get well before your problem, or if you have a problem, you get better and better, and you can heal it yourself. Right. So then from there, the story goes even more deep. So then I went to Europe, and Europe was great. Went to England, France, Germany. All of them had something great. I think I told you the other day, France had the aromatherapy. It was wonderful.
You mean like essential oil aromatherapy?
Essential oil and these little, what they call aerators, and you put the different, a different type of, they're not perfumes, but they are oils, and you put them in one for each kind of thing, one for health, one for headache, one for anxiety, and that was getting more towards it, because then I was going, maybe we could do something about the environment. These people are onto something, but then there were so many different smells, and also the room would keep smelling like that, and Again, UCLA is not going to let your room smell like anything. They wanted all that super clean smell. So
you're still looking for something you can bring back to the basic West. Urban environment in the West.
Yeah, that you can grow up here and still go to public school or parochial school and have a great life and be whoever you want to be without having to go through this.
And not have to do plant-based medicine and aromatherapy.
Yeah, and you don't have to worry about what you see in the future. That people always say, whatever you do, don't get old. Don't have a problem, because what happens then is all downhill.
Yeah.
And whatever old is, it's really funny, people say when you're young, they always say you're too young to know about this and this. And then when you're older, they say, well, you're already too old. You're past your time. This is for young people. So there's this confusion in our whole culture about how you really can progress in anything anyway, which I had to hear everything when I was traveling, because people would go, well, you've already got this degree. Why are you interested in this? Do you actually have the bandwidth, the capacity to even understand all this stuff? I said, yes, let's do it. Come on. And so I would throw myself in always as, like you said, a guinea pig. Then they knew I was real. Then they knew I wasn't just watching. So I said, no, do it on me. I want to see. So in Germany, they still can get these Rife machines or electrical. You plug in the wall.
Rife frequency machines.
And it just puts you like this. And it was some benefit. But again, it's wild electricity, and it really isn't something that is going to keep you from getting that problem. I want you to be able to get better and better so you can compete better and better every day. So you can not only break the 4-minute mile, but break the next one, and keep growing in life. I wanted you to be able to keep going up and be your own doctor. Be your own guru. That was my goal. And I studied a lot of people who meant well. They really, they cared about what they were interested in, and they wanted that to be the thing, but it wasn't the thing for me. It was just, it only brought you so far. And what I wanted was this opportunity for you to be your own doctor. So, let's see, England actually had Bach remedies. I think they're still around, which is made from flowers, and people use those. Like an essential oil is still available today. And
Bach remedies. I've talked about those on the show before. Is it BACH remedies? Yeah.
And they're available, and they're good. They're fun. It's still, you're working, it's not significant enough for me. So finally, this is like I'd already gone over, I traveled so many different places, not only in Europe, but in parts of near Russia and outside Asia. And I finally decided that, I'm in like my fifth year. I'm already up to 150,000 miles airtime. And eventually I ended up visiting to over 30 countries. No, not 30, over about 18 countries. Yeah, 18 countries. I visited 18 countries. And it was amazing, each one of them, but the problem was I still didn't find it. So finally one day I'm in the medical building, and again, my nemesis, this guy who's always given me hell, this other surgeon, he's going, you're cracked. You're crazy to keep doing this and keep leaving your practice. You should stay exactly at your, peak and keep developing here. You should stop this. And I said, okay, I'm not getting any, support anywhere. It's all coming from within me, and every place I've visited still hasn't given me the chance to do it. Maybe he's right. And then I go, no, I still haven't gone to communist China. Remember, China in those days with the wall had just come down. So it was really communist. Everybody wore shirts like this still. It was a whole different world. So when I went to China, I decided this is going to be...
So people weren't going back and forth to China like they are.
No, there was nobody. Matter of fact, I got checked by the customs every single time on the way there and on the way back, because they're going, hey, Doc, this is like your second trip to China. Are you communist? Or what? Do you
I'd be nervous going to communist China 30 years ago.
Yeah. It was not necessarily at all anything different than the movies, The whole thing about, Secret Service watching you all the time, that's true. It's true. It's everybody. In those days, there was always somebody watching somebody who was watching somebody. They used to say, you would never say anything negative about the government or politics. And still, you don't want to do that too much over there in China, but it changed massively since then. But when I first landed in China, it was like I remember pulling the curtain back that morning, and it was like, I think I've landed on the moon. There was nothing out there that looked like the United States. It was like everybody in bicycles, everybody in rickshaws, people walking. There's no cars. It's like a lot of people, and it was fascinating, but the people it was a whole different culture. They sort of had stayed in this little bubble all these years, and they didn't have all the modern technology like they have now. So I thought that was great, because I said, oh, here's something that's really different. I'm going to really find out what all these people have been doing. Maybe it's been preserved here. Maybe there hasn't been a change and people haven't been altered. Maybe there's something really real here. So I worked in those hospitals and taught endoscopy and got to have very good friends with the other doctors. And along the way, in China, it's a different system than here. Pretty much people are watching you all the time, like I said, and then as you develop a better relationship with them, then they sort of open up a little more. Mm-hmm. But never all the way. Then they open a little more. So along the way, one of the heads of the department said, listen, I think you're so interested in other things that we do. I think we should make available to you this other hospital that's right about 500 yards away, which is a total traditional hospital. But traditional Chinese medicine in those days was, and I'd already been to the Shaolin Monastery and worked there, but and enjoyed doing those exercises. It was really great. But they said, we know you're so much interested in Chinese original culture. We'll let you work there too. So I got to work in the pharmacy. I got to work in the acupuncture floors, and it was great because...
Now, I would imagine a traditional Chinese medicine pharmacy is a little bit different than a Western pharmacy.
Yeah.
Tell me about your experience in the pharmacy.
I don't know if anybody ever seen Harry Potter, but remember that guy who's really weird, who goes around on the ladder and says, here's this herb up here, and this is what you need, Harry, and this is, or to his buddy. And they pulled out things that were supposed to be helpful to them as far as herbs. And this was exactly the same thing, only much bigger, maybe 10 times that big, and also much dirtier and much older, because everything in those days was preserved. In China, remember I told you that they didn't have much money, so everything was preserved, taken care of. Even if it was 50 years old or 100 years old, you had to take care of everything as if you may not ever get to replace it, because there wasn't any money coming from anywhere. The government wasn't going to give you any money, so that's what you're going to have to live with. So they'd send the pharmacy people, these ladies were always rushing, because they had to make these herbs. We'd burn the herbs in a decanted liquid that would just boil, and then we take the liquid off, and then we take it up to the patient, and then we'd have them drink it, and eventually they let me help them make the herbs. First I watched them, and so they would go over there, and so then I couldn't, my Mandarin, although I was studying all the time, I really couldn't tell what was going to be behind every box. So I'd open the box, reach my hand in, pull out, and I'd go, oh my God, what is this, a bat wing?
A bat wing.
I knew enough about, our different things in the world, and what's this? Well, this is like, this is a clump of spiders. What is that for? And this is scorpions that are dead, thank gosh. This is saliva from a swallow. And eventually I found out this is saliva not just from a swallow, but from a certain mountain.
It sounds like an extreme version of when I go to Chinatown, like in San Francisco, and walk in one of the shops there where it's big glass jars full of different fish
and you think that
mollusks and organ meats.
Imagine these little drawers that probably never been cleaned. Who knows what's been in them all along. That never would pass anything at UCLA, but they boiled them and we gave them to patients. Actually, patients used them, and I saw them get benefits. So they did have a great herbs had a benefit, but they weren't like everybody today can order supplements. They can order herbs. It's wonderful now, and it's all standardized and purified. No, it wasn't pure. It was like real. It came right out of the forest or right out of the mountain, but it wasn't something that you could say, I think this is going to be safe. No, I was always worried as a doctor that, my gosh, am I giving somebody something that's not going to work? Is this something that's going to hurt them? That's why I had to watch the patient each time when they drank
handle a bat wing and a scorpion.
Yeah, and so I didn't know. So I tried it myself. And I would always drink it too and try it with each patient. And, of course, then I would have, like I told you earlier, in certain other places, you'd have these wild experiences of what the experience of this herb was. I didn't drink as much as the patient would because some of it was anti-cancer therapy. Some of them were like things that balance all your different acupuncture channels. It all has foundation, which people have now learned through some of the basic texts of traditional Chinese medicine. But what's interesting is that was all that was allowed to be in the cities. The rest of Chinese medicine, that was it. This is all that Mao had allowed, that and a deep tissue massage and acupuncture. I got to learn acupuncture also. But we didn't have acupuncture here. As a matter of fact, I remember at my hospital when they first, at UCLA, when we said, what about this acupuncture? Can we bring here? They go, no, it's not good, and we don't have enough research on it. We don't have controlled studies. Well, when I was there, no controlled studies. There'd be 8 people in a room, and I'd watch them put these needles about this long.
Oh my gosh. It's a long needle. For those of you listening to the audio, it's like 8 inches long.
Yeah, and where they put it in places, I would go, I'm going to have to resuscitate this patient. I mean, as a physician, I was many, many times going, Barry, what have you gotten yourself into? I mean, what if this patient codes? You're going to have to do CPR on this patient, and they've got, 10 patients in the room, and there's all this smoke. What's the smoke?
Smoke, yeah, why was there smoke?
Well, we put the needles in, and then they have this little thing you put on top of the long needle, and then on that you put more herbs from the pharmacy that you burn. So it's like moxibustion, only it's a lot of moxibustion. And remember, because China was not wealthy in those days, the only separation between the patient was this little curtain between 10 people. So the smoke from this one's going up in the air, smoke from this one's going up in the next one, the next one. So finally the whole room is filled with intense smoke. And each one is...
And you're in there working.
And I'm in there working, and I'm going, I know smoke is not really a big thing in the United States anymore. It's not something we want to be breathing. And I've had patients who have problems from smoking here. I'm breathing all this smoke every day. But I went, I got to find out, though, if this works. I mean, I'm just going to see if I can, handle it and see what goes on. And plus, I got to see them do some amazing things, and they taught me acupuncture, too, and what the whole acupuncture system was, both, all the ones that have finally been written up. And it was wonderful. And I actually followed. I had a really good friend, both a male and a female doctor who ran the acupuncture clinic. And we would have a lot of discussions, and I would ask him all these questions about it. What's the shortest time you've ever been able to get somebody well? Do you ever keep anybody out of the hospital using acupuncture? I was always developing that. And they were always saying, look, there's too many people in China. We don't have time to keep people out of the hospital. We can barely handle the people coming in. There's too many people who are sick. So they weren't even interested in what I was interested in. Can you imagine? And so they had this technology, but it wasn't fascinating enough for them to pursue that.
Hey, I want to interrupt today's show. I know it's a good one, but I'm going to interrupt anyways, to tell you about a few meals that are going to be arriving at my house this week that me or my wife or my kids can cook literally in like 30, 40 minutes flat, from prep work to sitting on the table and drooling over it. So we're going to get fresh cavatelli and kale, cauliflower steaks and purple barley salad, and a catfish monoué. I don't even know if that's how you pronounce that, with spiced lentils and kale. These are just one of the many meals that this company called Blue Apron sends out. So they are the number one fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. What they do is make home cooking accessible to everybody by supporting a more sustainable food system. So you're not guilty when you're eating that the meat did not come from a responsibly raised animal, and the produce, is sourced from farms that practice regenerative farming. They have amazing meals, and did you know that cooking together and eating together builds strong family bonds too? So it's great for your family and your relationships. And I know it's a little woo-woo, but it's true. This is a woo-woo podcast anyways, isn't it? So for less than $10 a meal, you get these delivered to your house each week, and here is the offer for you. You get your first 3 meals free. Yep, free. With free shipping. Just go to blueapron.com/Ben. That's blueapron.com/Ben. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. This podcast finally is brought to you by my partners in anti-aging, the folks who I rely on, these people at a company called Health Gains. It's a concierge age management practice. If you're 75 and you want to look like you're 45, or you're 45 and you want to operate like you're 25, these are the folks you got to talk to. They do evidence-based hormone replacement therapy, anti-aging, integrative wellness programs. They also do these sexual wellness treatments that'll knock your socks off. It's basically things like their P-shot, their O-shot, this Gains Wave acoustic sound wave therapy. I went down and did some of their sexual treatments and was like a 14-year-old boy for like months. It's crazy. So the way that you get in with them is you text the word GAIN to 313131. That gets you $250 off of any of their services, including HGH and testosterone. If you're a guy or girl who wants to get into that, text the word GAIN to 313131. They'll get you $250 off at their Aventura, Florida location. And you call them up and they'll help you arrange flying down there and getting into their clinic. And then they also have really good service via email and phone and stuff too. So GAIN to 313131. Check them out. Now back to today's show.
So one night, when I was in that hospital, I went in the library, and their library wasn't like in a nice room like we're in now, or any other hospital room. It was an old hospital room. It was all part of the room was wood, and these books are stacked up. It's not like it's all organized by the Dewey Decimal System where you can just find it. So I was always pulling books out and going, I wonder what's in here. And of course, there was tons of dust everywhere. Nothing was clean. And I'm only saying that because if you come from the university hospitals, what's the first thing a patient says? How clean's my room? Is this being kept clean? Has anybody else been in here?
Copper handles.
Yeah, you want everything done. Where's the gloves? No gloves. None of that stuff. So we never wore gloves at all, except when I did endoscopy there. And then we didn't replace the gloves. We wore. It was totally not done here. So I found one book one night where there's this guy who's treating somebody, and he's not even touching them. It's just at a distance. And I kept looking at the pictures, and I was going, this guy's treating with energy. I could tell what was going on. I could understand enough of the writing there. And so I carried the book and ran back to this, my chief of the department. I said, listen, this is the guy I want to meet. This is why I'm really here. And he looks at me, looks at the book, and goes, forget it. That was like it. Really? I'm all excited. He goes, forget it. This is like my 6th year looking for this. And he says, forget it. You're completely not going to meet those guys. They're up in the mountains. They've been out of the city since Mao Zedong. He doesn't what he wants. And so they're very expensive. I mean, really expensive in those days. Was way more than anybody could imagine, like $5,000 just to go see one of them. And plus, you're American. They're not going to want you there. You're Caucasian. You're not a person that, there's not many Caucasians here, and there's none up there. And so it's a very serious place up there. And I said, no, I still want to go. And they said, no, there's no one going to take you there.
Crazy white doctor.
And he says, plus, they're the repository of all Chinese medicine. This is where it all came from. That hospital you've been working in, all the things that in our Chinese culture all comes from, in the original days of China, it was called the Middle Kingdom, and many people hold it that way. And so it's sort of held supposedly in this wonderful magical place where you can divine kinds of information that really can help you without having to go, I guess, in a scientific approach. There was ways of being, people would say, stories that almost sound like they're fantasy stories, but for them they're not. And especially when I finally convinced them to say, look, I really want to go and I really don't care. He says, okay. But nobody's going to take you there that I mean, I can get you, my cousin will take you this far, and then he's got a friend who will take you this far, and then in another day somebody will take you up the mountain. I don't know who the guy's going to be. And so finally I'm up the mountain about 2 days later on back of a motorcycle, one of these old kind of cycles like this, nothing new. And then he let me off, not even at the top. He let me off like, I was 1/3 more to go. So I climbed for another hour or so, and then finally I got up there. And when I got there, you would think that, seeing a guy in a baseball hat, a Caucasian coming into this big Chinese temple where these people were being treated all the time.
So that's what there was at the top of the mountain, a temple.
Yeah, it's a temple where they were working, and people were being brought up, and people were actually being treated from a distance. And you would think that it was like something where I might be welcomed. Here's a visitor. Here's somebody from another country. Wouldn't this be great? Which was not how it was treated. I was sort of looked at like, why are you here? This is like, we don't need you here. And so I didn't get kicked out, but I certainly didn't get invited in. So I just sort of was watching all the time. But what I saw was what I'd always wanted to see. I actually saw people's wounds being healed right in front of me. And as a doctor, I was going...
You mean wounds being healed with energy?
Without touching the person, without putting needles in them or anything. And actually, I know how long it takes for a wound to heal we've done multiple studies here in surgery. And I saw things just sort of zip together right in front of my eyes. And, of course, I said, maybe my eyes are, I've been tired. Maybe I've been walking the mountain. I hope I can stay another day, which they didn't even invite me. But I stayed anyway. And they didn't give me food. So I finally begged somebody to give me some water and things. And the next day, I saw even more and more and more. And so finally, I convinced them that I really, really wanted to stay there and follow them and take
Did you stay up on the mountain, or did you ever go back down the mountain to China and then come back?
No, I would stay. I didn't want to leave. And after I finally found what I wanted, after 150,000 miles around circling the globe, airplane miles, I was like, I was not going to go no matter what, even though they were not very friendly at all. And they said, okay, we'll let you watch. But they used to call me Gui Lao, which means it's not a complimentary term.
Gui Lao?
It means white ghost.
White ghost.
Which means you're people who's coming over the mountains to get us cause a problem. You're not safe to be around, but we'll tolerate you because the walls come down and supposedly the world is trying to connect. So we're not going to just throw you out like, that's what the term means, that you shouldn't be around. So I actually got to see great things happening. I used to come back every few months to study with them and watch and learn. It was great. The most amazing things with people's injuries were being fixed right there in front of my eyes. People's mental situations were changing. People who came there just because they had something they wanted the master there to help them with their business. He would tell them things about their future and things. They could sort of tell things about the future, the present, what they needed to do. And then the people would come back on other trips and I'd see they were being successful. I kept following things. And the whole time as a doctor, I'm going, this is so wonderful. And this is so not what anyone knows about on the other side of the world. Nobody even knows about it. So when I came back to UCLA, after each trip, there wasn't anybody I could even talk to about it because no one was even interested in that. Plus, they wouldn't believe it. So that even made me more excited.
So you were going back to UCLA in between your China trips?
Oh, yeah, I was still doing surgeries. So then finally, the greatest thing happened after a couple of years of not having any respect, any appreciation, not even given a place to sleep. I had to find my own place to sleep.
Every time you'd come back from California and go up this mountain, you had no hospitality.
The number one comment they said, why are you here? Why'd you come back? Why are you here? No one invited you.
So you would just kind of fend for yourself and watch and sleep where you could sleep and get your hands on the food and the drink that you could. Just hang out and watch.
I figured if they'd have to throw me out.
Yeah.
To get me out. I was that much. I'd finally found what I wanted to see how this actually worked. And plus, remember, at the beginning, I was like going, God, this really is real, but how are they doing it? And I don't even see anything between the hand and the body, and yet you can see a reaction. So I started always studying and checking and asking if there was books on this, and there was no books. Because this discipline is the discipline that was used to protect the emperors. And so it's never been allowed to be written
down. To protect the emperors?
The emperor and his court. In other words, this energy discipline is, in that area, was what's called the root energy system for all of the other energy systems that have the world since found out about. Everybody loves doing Tai Chi. Everybody loves Qigong. People love doing acupuncture. People love acupressure. There's people love toning. There's all these different energy, branches. They're like
energy
branches.
Medicine is more popular now.
Yeah, but they're all branches of a tree. But every tree has to have a root.
Yeah.
And that root has to go all the way down and be strong and feed all those. That root was this discipline. And this root discipline was not to be written about. It was only to be passed on from one person who's really able and who's qualified to then pass it on to you either as the treatment or if you're ever going to be trained, which I finally, after a couple of years, and I never thought this was going to happen, the grandmaster, I said, would you be interested in being trained in this discipline? And I was like, I went through the roof. I said, yes, I'd love it. And so he warned me at that time. He said, you're an American, and we know you're a doctor and that you have some notoriety over there, but this discipline's not set up for any of that. I know you think it's been tough over here since you've been here. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse because this system is set up so that you're not supposed to make it. It's 5,000 years old. The only people supposed to make it are those people who were meant to make it, and that means you'll actually make it through each one of these levels, these tests. And I said, yeah, I still want to do it. I was so excited, like anybody would be, right? You'd be that excited if you had a chance. And you said, how bad could it be? It was bad. It was really bad. The people that I saw who were also trying to be trained, there were so many people who got injured. There were so many things that I was like left on the side of a mountain one time.
How did they get injured?
Because you'd be left on the side of a mountain. No one's there to take care of you. You have to fend for yourself. And with every single one of the tests...
This is kind of similar to a vision quest, except you're on the side of a random mountain in China.
Not only a random mountain, no one speaks the language. There's no one there to help you. There's no food. You have to wait for the guy to come back. And you're not allowed to come back successfully unless you got the message that you were supposed to get from that particular mountain. There was energy.
How long did you get left out there?
It depends. Sometimes it would be for just like 3 days. Sometimes it would be for... One time it was like... I think close to 6 or 7 days.
I was going to say just 3 days. That's a little while.
Yeah, well, it's a little while since you have no food.
Yeah.
And you got to find water, and you're thinking, just a week ago I was doing surgery at UCLA, and everything's like clean and neat, and you're telling nurses what to do, and or people bringing in patients on gurneys, and everything's running smoothly. Here I'm out here, die. And I was going, why are you doing this? Are you really going to get what they want you to get, which is they're supposed to be, get this, you're a Western doctor, and they say there's a message in the mountain. And I went, in the mountain? Where in the mountain? And they said, you'll see. You'll have that experience if you do the techniques that we've taught you while you're there. So I constantly was doing the techniques. I was constantly doing the practices, many of which I've now brought back to the United States for you all to do. Some of us, we were doing those a little earlier.
These are the things you call it the exercises.
Yeah.
So some of the things you've brought back are the same things they had you doing there on the side of the mountain. What was the grandmaster like?
You wouldn't have liked it. I don't know. Did you ever see the movie Kill Bill 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he looked like. That's what he looked like. He was never, ever friendly, ever. And he did smoke the whole time. And he was always looked at you askance, like, you know.
He smoked a cigarette the whole time.
Well, always, you know, and he would never looked at you like you were going to make it or that you were great. And I don't think I saw him smile until the very end when I'd passed a couple tests that were pretty bizarre. I think I was telling you one time he led us out to this lake, and as we walked around the lake, it's a small lake. It wasn't that big, maybe about 200 yards. But we walked around, and he pointed out all the yellow snakes in there. Lots.
Snakes.
And he said, those are all poisonous, so be careful. And I went, be careful. Who's careful? We're walking around them. So we got to a certain place where there's like this ledge, and then he starts walking out into the lake. And I'm going, oh, this is interesting. I guess this is a demo, you know? And so he's walking, but as we watch him walking, you could barely see where his feet were touching. You know, he had to be touching the rocks unless he was levitating, but I actually couldn't see that. As a doctor, again, I was going, am I really seeing this correctly? And I tried to catch, is he actually floating along there? What's he doing? But he actually got to the other side very quickly, and then he turns around, and he goes like this. You know, no smile, just one finger.
Point to you to come.
One finger. Yeah, we're all on this. It's like 4 of us, okay? And I'm going, wait a minute, we just saw the snakes. He just scared me about that. I'm a doctor. I don't like snakes. You know, this is not some kind of thing. Plus, they're poisonous. So I said, well, again, this is another test. See, every single time that you're confronted by something that you really don't know how you're going to do it over there in this program, it's set up that you're not going to be able to do it unless you pull in the energy at the next level, unless you expand. And really, since then, I learned, you know, of course, physics, that the world's always expanding or it's contracting. You know, the universe is always getting larger and larger out there. As we keep looking farther out there, we notice that the planet keeps, you can't find the end of space. And that's an interesting thing. And now people understand it has something to do with humans, that the fact that we're looking and all that, the quantum information. But what was really interesting was that every single one of those tests, you didn't know what it was you're supposed to learn in advance. It wasn't like, we want you to learn how to do which I had learned, you know, Chinese calligraphy. You get to see other people doing calligraphy. It says there's a message here, or there's a way to walk across this using the things we've taught you in the past and something else new, which you're going to have to discover in the process of either making it or not making it. So you're always learning, and you're always scared out of your mind.
So you walked across this lake with the poisonous snakes.
And I was scared out of my mind.
You didn't get bit?
No, but I also was very careful to see every rock as I was going over it and go, you know, as light-footed as I could, and also be complete in the energy, because my biggest concern was not only slipping off of the rocks, but actually if I actually fell in the water, so where the snakes would all be interested in you. So one of the things that's always very important in the energy is there's not another reality. The reality you're living in is the reality that you're always going to be able to pull in these higher and higher frequencies that are going to allow you to actually be one of the people that can do these different techniques. And I just had this trust, which a lot of people would say, how can you trust these people? You don't even know what's happening. But I had this feeling like it's really real that they can do this. And I really felt the world needed this, and I wanted to find out. So I was willing to risk it on and see what I would learn as I crossed that lake. And of course, when I got to the other side, I was completely relieved. But to make it across, to stay balanced perfectly on each one of these small rocks and actually make it without having to go like this and slip and hold onto things was part of the test. And what you're doing is you're actually opening, which I was able to finally get trained to bring back to the United States, opening all these sensors in your body that you can pull in vibrations so that your body's just like a tightrope walker.
Wow.
But I wasn't a tightrope walker. I'm a doctor. I'm a person who does surgery. I have no business being out there in this lake. And, of course, I had, like everybody else, you have that little voice in your head that keeps going, what are you doing? This is not easy. This is difficult. Are you sure there's going to be a lesson here, or are you just going to die here? And eventually there was some of the people in the group over the years. I actually had to see one guy die, which saw a lot of injuries. I had a lot of injuries.
How did he die?
I really don't want to go into it, but it was really one of the tests that he really felt that he was a guy from Hong Kong, and he was over there a lot. He's a very nice guy, very smart. I liked the guy a lot, but he was very much like, okay, this is real difficult, but there's another way to do it than the way they're teaching you. He was always trying to find another way around rather than through. And what the benefit of this program is you go through each thing, the thing you find out, you're capable. You have the ability to do this. You actually don't even realize how wonderful the inside of you is able to compete and be able to do things that you've only imagined when you were like 5 years old. Right? Remember when you're 5 years old, somebody says, well, what do you want to be, Billy, when you grow up? Oh, this week I want to be a fireman. Okay. I thought you wanted to be Superman last week. Yeah, I'm going to be a fireman and Superman. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be a fireman and Superman and Batman. And where is that? And the president.
Don't forget the president.
And Billy, so you're going to be all those things? Yeah. Where does that interest and excitement and desire come from? You didn't give it to him. You're the parent. You didn't say that's a good idea. You just, all of a sudden, you've got these sensors when you're young. Later, they get turned off, unfortunately, and that's what's so great about this discipline that I brought back is that it lights you up so you can actually be back in that generative state so you can create a new job, a new relationship, wonderful things that the energy has effects in. And so there was more than a couple dangerous things. You want more dangerous things or not?
What happened? What eventually happened after you'd gone through all this training? What was the end result?
The end result was
a graduation ceremony?
Yeah, eventually there was not any other people around in my group. There's one guy's left standing over a long period of time, and finally the grandmaster came to me and said, "You've got." And I was having a good time at that point, which was like rare. It was actually people weren't as mean to me. They weren't throwing things at me in the kitchen. Remember, a lot of times I'd get there straight from UCLA, and I'd get them out, and I'd go, "Hey, what am I going to learn?" And they go like this, like you're the wrong person, you shouldn't be here. And I'd be thrown into the kitchen. I'm supposed to be a doctor, a surgeon, guiding things. I'm not only washing pots, but I'm dealing with this one-toothed lady who's throwing things at me, speaking loud Chinese language, which I didn't understand, but I knew that she wasn't happy with me because I wasn't cleaning fast enough. I had a lot of those rotten experiences, but believe it or not, every one of those rough experiences was meant for you to either not make it in that experience or find a way to find the value with the energy that this could be a contribution to you. What could you do in this space that you actually could expand through and make this a contribution to your life too? And every single thing started to become that way. And as I grew and grew and grew and able to do all the different practices and techniques and work on all kinds of people, I was having a great time. I think maybe
so they let you begin working on people.
Oh, yeah. It was great. And then the grandmaster said, it's time for you to leave. And you're going to be charged with the responsibility, now that you've learned this, since you're the only medical doctor, you're the only English-speaking, only Caucasian that's ever been trained in this discipline, to bring this to the West and see if they're ready for it, see if they're interested in this. And, of course, remember, we still were, this is like 20 years ago, 15 years ago now. We were growing a little bit, and there was more interest. But when I brought it back to the West, I still was not getting much approval from anybody in my building. Other doctors were saying, because they knew I was using these techniques along with my other things in my office. But I had a lot of patients, and patients would say, maybe they weren't getting well with a certain medication. Rather than changing the medication, I would say, okay, instead of taking a second medication, would you like to see some techniques I learned when I was studying in China? Because everybody knew about that because my office had all these different things that I brought back from China on every trip.
I've been in your office. Yeah. I was there 3 days ago for our initial session.
You saw it's not like a regular doctor.
No, it's kind of, well, not quite like that pharmacy that you described, but more like some ancient traditional Chinese medicine workshop. You've got paintings and rocks and crystals and all manner of kind of like strange Asian artifacts in your office. So it's very, very atypical for like a Western medical office.
Yeah, and they all represent different levels of attainment with the energy. For me, this represents, that's Yellow Mountain, where this happened at 5 a.m. That was walking along the Buddhist trail.
All those paintings in your office are places that you've been.
They're all either places or represent of something that happened there.
Interesting.
See, this discipline goes all the way back to Lao Tzu and early. Remember, Lao Tzu was one of the people who invented the Tao Te Ching. Remember the Bagua?
The Tao Te Ching, yeah.
And people love that here in the West now because they like to do fortune telling and they like to say, I can guide my future with that.
Explain to people who aren't familiar with the Tao Te Ching, what that is.
Well, it's the Bagua, the black and white symbol, which people think
like is the yin-yang symbol.
But people think it's supposed to be stable or it's supposed to be this way or that way. Actually, it's supposed to be rotating all the time because you're rotating. And then you're supposed to be able to figure it out according to mathematical formulas that this guy Lao Tzu back in those days actually wrote down and devised laws of physics that we, eventually were able to pull in and was able to predict things in the stars. Some people think the Egyptians were some of the first people to do it, but actually he and some other people, Juan D, other people who were back in those days actually discovered so many great things that we're still using today. But in the way that Bagua was designed is so that you can actually understand your existence. And he had the way for you to connect to certain energies because see, there's more than one vibration to connect to. There's not just, I think people here are used to sensors in your body like vitamin D. The sun gets on your skin, and then you see your skin turns a little brown because the melanocytes grow a little bit because they absorb the vibration of the sunlight, and that makes your cell grow. And so we're used to vibration. We just take it as like, well, something that goes on. We don't have much control, but actually you have tremendous opportunity to grow if you open your sensors and use all those vibrations for whatever your goals are.
You're saying many of us in the West are desensitized to even being able to feel energy or feel vibrations properly.
Right. And you don't even have to feel it. You just have to be able to do the practices and start to experience it in results. So with all the things that I brought back for everybody, they're just practices. You can either do them, watch a video because the energy vibrations are embedded in there and your body just sucks it up and loves it. I've got these audios that people can listen to, and that remember your ear. How's your ear work? Your ear is just 3 little bones and a wafer. That's it. And what does that do? It vibrates. So what you're doing again is getting a vibration, and that vibration we call it language. But really, it's just a vibration, which you now want to call this thing called language. But then the vibration then goes to your brain, and then we use that for depends on what country you're in, certain language and a certain interpretation, and unfortunately, a certain fixed approach to life or a fixed way of seeing life. And you've heard all those stories about like islanders who see boats coming in the old days and they go, what's this boat? Is this real? Or people have never seen themselves in a mirror. Then everybody laughs about that. But the truth is, it's just to show you that they had a fixed way of looking and it really can control what you can see. And if you have a fixed way of looking at life that you don't have this ability to succeed and develop and allow all these sensors with these practices to come in, and you don't do the practices, you'll never know that. But the greatest thing I loved about being up there was I saw some really grumpy people. So not all those Chinese people were so happy up there as far as clients or patients until after the treatment. And, it worked anyway. And then when I tried it back in the U.S. in my office building with the patients, I'd say, okay, you want to try this Chinese technique? You didn't have to have a positive attitude. You didn't have to be a positive thinker. You just had to say, I want this result, which I like that. It meant that even when you're in times of suffering or sadness or whatever, you know the way out. Just give me the way out. Give me the solution and I'll do it. And so I would give them the practice. I'd turn the light out. I would do something, and then they would then have to just report to Rosie in the front office maybe 2 weeks later as to whether it worked or not. And then we kept records about what was going on. And the reason I did that was because, one, I still had my nemesis in the building who was never nice about anything, and I was going, you're going to have a problem. This is not something that's medicine that's proven. And someday one of these patients is going to really be, or you're going to find out something that's not going to be great. Well, eventually, it took 4 or 5 years, he developed some neck problem and couldn't do surgery very well because his neck was always leaning over. This
doctor was giving you a hard time.
Yeah, and he said, does that damn stuff work? And I went, yeah, of course it does. You see these people. He said, because my goal of doing it just in my office was I wanted to prove in the United States that, one, it worked on every race, and 2, it worked on every age group. Mm-hmm. And 3, it worked on every illness I could get in touch with, really severe illnesses I worked on. And the next number is I wanted to do it before people had a chance to say, well, do you have any proof? I want to have a lot of proof. So now I have over 10,000 testimonials. So after a lot of gaining, a lot of people's success, Rosie kept collecting all this information for me, and then we collated it on how many things it works on. And we had great results. And so finally then some people came and said, you've got to start, you've had tremendous results with some diseases that people are not supposed to get well from. Could you start giving lectures? Could you start creating media for people? And I did. I created these videos that you can get the energy from. It's embedded in there. You just watch the video.
I want to talk about those later because for people listening or watching this, we want to make some of those available for you to try this stuff out. But, dude, what I experienced in your office was nuts because we sat there and talked. I know some of the stuff that we did together is supposed to be confidential, and I'll certainly respect that for the show. But you brought me into your treatment room next to your office, and what I experienced there blew my mind. Not only how I felt during, but the way that I felt after. I was seeing things. I felt high, even though I wasn't on any type of medicine or smoking some kind of plant or taking an herb or anything like that. Aside from your fabulous green tea, you were touching me and you were using. Am I allowed to say you were using?
Yes, sometimes I use cups, sometimes I don't.
Cups,
the only reason I use cups on the one-on-one treatments is they're totally not necessary. It just allows me to go much faster. Because, as I showed you, it didn't take that long to actually blow the entire place apart.
How long were we in there, like a half hour?
No, about a little less than an hour, yeah.
Okay. It went by really fast.
It goes very fast. And, matter of fact, most people go, really? That was it? And then I go, well, you just check with Rosie or whoever else is in the desk in, maybe a half an hour or so and see if you're ready to walk. And they go, I'm ready to walk. And then people get off at the table. They go, wait a minute.
Yeah, I was laying there and my whole body was vibrating afterwards.
Yeah.
I've gotten massage. I've gotten cupping done before. But, I know we can't share everything that you do.
This cupping is completely different than the cupping you get in China or in Russia or in San Francisco. Fire cups and all that. Because this discipline does not hold that you are somehow deficient in any way. You're actually able. And so I'm never taking bad things out of you. You don't need me to do that. You need me just to put the good things back in. You just need me to open the sensors over here for this part. Open the sensors over here. Then you will start to heal yourself.
And
which is my major
exercise
goal.
To do, too.
Yeah, I give you exercises to do.
Special exercise that I'm supposed to do.
Release the energy as many times as you want during the day or evening so that I do some of them outside surgery.
Right.
In between cases.
And I walked out, and my instructions were very specific. I was supposed to rest all day yesterday. I'm not supposed to touch anyone. Why am I not supposed to touch anyone?
Well, yeah. Remember I told you back from the days of Lao Tzu of the laws of physics, energy, even though energy cannot be destroyed, Einstein, E equals MC squared, the laws of thermodynamics, if you light a cigarette here, it eventually the carbon smoke goes up, and then it goes somewhere, and then it comes down and becomes some other thing. But it doesn't go anywhere. It just stays in one continuous cycle. Energy can't be created or destroyed. And also, energy has certain principles that you can study and benefit from. So one of them is that, if you go to Niagara Falls, the falls are going down. Energy always flows from the highest point to the lowest point. It will always dissipate out. So if someone comes up and starts working on your body and say their energy level is really super low and you now are at the level of Buddha, then your energy is always going to float out towards that person, which is a good thing. That's why God set it up. I believe in God, but you can say you believe in nature or Mother Nature or the intelligence of the universe. But the way it's set up is actually good because if you have a ton of energy and you have children or something and they need that energy, then they will naturally balance out. But then you'll have to do your practices to build back up so that you keep your sensors open, which is also a good thing because it keeps us all growing. But if you, after this, it would be a shock to somebody. Somebody touch your body, they go, "Whoa, what happened?" Their hand would all of a sudden
put all this energy into me.
I opened up everything and moved the energy.
Passing on to other people too soon if someone were to.
Yeah, it would be a shock to people, and plus you wouldn't like it because you're already growing every day after a treatment. You're and it's the same with the videos. Every day you're growing. Remember, you don't have a choice on this planet. You're either going to be expanding every moment, which is great. Wonderful, growing, getting better. It's the way the law of physics is. Or you can keep contracting until finally you're in a black hole and you're gone, or you've got terrible arthritis, or you've got terrible disease, and you're finally dead, which is no movement at all. And those are the two choices. They're two continuums. And before I got to go to China and finally find this discipline and bring it back, pretty much people, like I said, were stuck with, the book's called The Stages of Life. These are your stages, and you're eventually going to have to go this way and try not to be too upset about it. Get some golf in before your day comes, and that's it. What if it wasn't that way? Well, it isn't. That's one of the things I have to bring back for people, that you actually have three great things about your this discipline in your life. I'd love to tell people about them, what sort of the groundings of that sometime. I mean, I could tell you.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more about what happens to people when they experience this energy. But even my own So I've been a little bit low the past couple of days. It's almost like kind of, as you explained to me, my energy was going to go down a little bit and it'll start to climb.
Your perception of usable energy.
Right. But weird things have already started to occur.
Weird good things or weird bad things?
I've told you before that I'll occasionally like dose on shrooms before I go on a nature immersion or a hike, and I see lots of vibrancy and color and emotion, and I feel more connected to nature and more connected to the energy around me. But I'm not using shrooms the past couple of days, and I'm walking through the Japanese gardens here at the hotel. The red bridge was popping, and every single red flower I could see in distinct detail. I went to the gardens yesterday, and every single pomegranate hanging there was shiny and red and was just popping off the tree. And I haven't even told you about this, but last night I tried to call my wife, and I got a voicemail. And so I called her back again, but before I dialed, I said she's going to pick up. And she picked up. This morning, I was craving a bowl from Sun Life Organics. Okay? And this is one of my favorite stores that I go to, and usually when I'm in Malibu, I didn't even know they had a store in Pasadena. Your assistant texted me about 5 minutes later and told me that she was at Sun Life Organics picking up these bowls, and she was just there. Exactly what I was craving right in the moment came to me. So all these weird things are happening to me. Is this normal?
Yeah, this is the Big Eight. The whole thing is centered around the Big Eight. Well, remember I told you about the 10,000 testimonials, and then I had a number of people who were facilitators, volunteers, just to collate all the victories people were having with this energy in every single discipline. But actually, of course, I learned this in China, but I had to see if it worked in the United States. Same thing. It actually filtered down after everybody collected all the different victories into 8 specific areas that you could count on. If you do these practices, that you're going to have a victory in that area. Just make goals, do the practices, pull in the vibrations, you're on to it. So one of the 8 is that people who have any kind of health situation, whether it's health normal and you want to get stronger, or health problem, you're going to heal faster, even if you have... We had one lady who broke her hip, and she's older, and her name was Lucille, and no one would expect her to really get well very quickly. Usually when you're older, you break your hip, people don't even want to be around you because they know you're on your way out. And she called me and she says, "What do I do?" And I said, "Well, just listen to these audios we have. You've got those, the guided breathing exercises. And the other exercise, you can't do it because you're in a bed, but it's okay. You can listen, you can watch, because you'll still absorb the vibrations."
Right. The same type of audios you gave me in the app after we finished.
Right, yeah. And
that we're going to give to you guys watching, by the way.
Yeah. Going to have some...
And listening.
Some things that we're going to make available to people. It's really great. Thank you for doing that. So anyway, so she listened to these on her own, and then I would check with her every couple days. And then finally she was discharged. And before she got discharged, her doctor said, "I don't know, who it is, this other doctor you were working with, but keep working with him, because we don't have anybody your age that's ever healed this fast. Plus, Lucille, you were voted best patient in the hospital this week, because she was always a bright, shiny penny. She wasn't a person going, I need Demerol anymore. She didn't take painkillers.
Best patient in the hospital. That's an award you want hanging on the wall.
So she got that without, and she got discharged to some physical therapy thing, and she became the star of that place.
Wow.
And so, most people are so worried about osteoporosis and so worried about your bones not healing.
Because she had access to this energy.
Yeah, because she was using watching the videos. She's doing the videos, and she's listening to the audios. The audios have different guided visualizations, and all you have to do is just sit there with your eyes closed, or you can just listen in the background, and the vibrations are in there. And those vibrations, we are like a tuning fork. You're a tuning fork. If somebody is, I think Jay was making this super comment. He said, do people believe that if they had a tuning fork and you got the right vibration, you could break a glass? I think some people know that, right? If you got...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I've done sound bowl healing and tuning fork.
Yeah, so those are ones...
also tell you get intense pain like a bone. If you hold a tuning fork over a bone and it's broken, your teeth gritting pain.
So those are what's called palpable. But believe it or not, just like white light, you just think, oh, okay, it's white light. No, it isn't. If you run through a prism, you realize, oh my gosh, look what's been created. It's all these different colors. Lots of colors, not just 10, not just 50, over hundreds. Just like the vibrations, there's over 200 of them. And each one of those is your body wants it. It's ready. It's just like sunlight. Remember we were talking about that you take a plant, and if it's nice and doing well, and you move it into the shade a little bit, and the sun's over here in the window, you come back in a week, the plant will be like going there.
Growing towards the sun.
We're the same way. Our sensors really want all these universal vibrations to bring them in, and you don't need to even feel them. Really, you don't. It would be distracting if you felt all of them. For me, it's okay, because I'm using them to check you out. But you want to go out and be able to put the ball in the basket, like when I treat athletes, So one of the things is health of the big 8. Another one's high performance. If people can actually do things that they really would like to do and compete. And so I had a lot of, as you know, NBA, NHL, all kinds of athletes, because I was only treating this in private for so many years on an exclusive basis.
Oh, yeah, you were telling me last night, and obviously we have to keep it confidential, but you're working with guys in the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, the UFC, U.S. senators, a crazy number of people. Some. Are you able to say any names, by the way, at all on the show, or do we have to keep things pretty confidential?
If they come to me and I ask them and say, would you do a testimonial, then we eventually put them on the website.
Yeah.
But I usually don't parade the name around because... so you just go to the website, you can see. Tony Robbins is on there. There's all kinds of people that are on
Tony
there.
Robbins. Tony Robbins.
Yeah, he's got a testimony on there.
Interesting.
I've been treating him for a long time.
Really? So he comes to you for treatment. You charge him up with this energy, the same type of energies you have in like the videos and the audios, but you're doing it personally with him, and then he goes off and crushes it afterwards.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's all available for everybody. I want everybody to have that. You get to be what you want. It's just that people get tired. So the part of the 8, though, is you just pick what you want. That's why I always remember when you came in. Remember I said you had to have goals? So what I was listening for is which of the 8 you were looking for. And I was going, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can do this. So the second thing was that, that you actually have more prowess. You can develop talents that you didn't even think were possible. And also you could heal injuries that you didn't think possible, so that you could be in NBA Finals, which happened with one player, and he was one of the best shooters on the team, and he got a big injury in his hand, and so they said, oh, he may not play, so the team's going to lose. And so I got to treat him. It was really great. And so, he got back in the game. Eventually, his hand, no one could believe that it was able to be fixed, and without any cast or any surgery, and he was able to play, and I put the ball in the basket. So
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so then that's people get stronger, okay? Yeah. You can get healthier with time. You don't have to get weaker with time. You can get healthier through an injury. As a matter of fact, one of the rules of this discipline, and the discipline does have a name, it's called the Get Younger treatment.
Get Younger. So that would be like the translation from Chinese?
Or it's called New Life Energy.
So this is a 5,000-year-old energy. You said it's called New Life or Get Younger Energy, if we were to translate it from Chinese. And basically, after all those years in China, you were able to figure out a way to package it without any of the big leaves or the heavy crystals or the stuff.
Yeah, because that's not the way. It's all vibration.
Bring it back.
It's what we're really made of. It's what our real. It's the other side of the coin. Remember, it's how we're made, and so you don't have to cut something off if your own body can start to heal it and it'll disappear for you. You have ability to do all kinds of things, and here it's usually people have like one person who was able to do that. Could anybody else do it? No, it's all of us have that ability. Our bodies are all made. We're all human beings.
Creativity, another one that I know you told me about. I started to write. I've had a singing-songwriting journal that I've traveled with for about the past 6 months. Still haven't cracked the cover on it because I want to write music, but I just have not had that muse yet to begin doing it. I started to write my first song yesterday. It's creative, and that was one of my goals, but it just came to me right away.
Because it's all a vibration.
Yeah, and then another one that you talked about was serendipity, and this relates to like the smoothie and calling my wife.
Serendipity on command.
Serendipity on command. What does that mean?
It means that inside of you that today I would like to have contact with my wife, and I also want this person to make a contact with them, plus I want to do business with this person, plus I need to figure out what to do with that, this, and I want to get home to be with my kids. Well, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't turn, and you're very upset because life becomes complicated, and people say, oh, you just need more time management, or you need to declutter your life. No, what you need is serendipity on command. When you're vibrating a certain level of continuous success, that's what the name of the whole company I've had for all these years is called Energy for Success.
For success.
And we never even advertised. It was all sustained by word of mouth because people had. I wanted not to have a company that relied on anything but people's results.
Yeah, I'd never heard of you before.
Yeah, because everybody had to have results.
Right, until I believe Dave Asprey talked about you in his book. He talks about this thing called Mitochondrial Meditation in his book, Headstrong. After that book came out, all these people started tweeting me and emailing me, telling me, have you heard of this guy, Dr. B? Who is he? Is he for real? So I had to come down there and see what you did. And it's mind-blowing. Speaking of the creativity component, you told me that you worked with this kid who walked into your office just basically in like his pajamas, living in his parents' garage or something.
Yeah, for years.
What happened with him?
Yeah, for years. We're going to do a whole video on him, put him on the website, because he's a riot now. He came in and I threw him out. I said, I'm not going to, you're too far gone. Your dad let you live in the garage. You're, not 21. He's like, I think, 26 at that time. And, he should have already had something going on. And he says, no, I've always wanted to be an artist and a musician, songwriter. And I've been working on my songs. And I live in the garage because someday I'm going to do good. And my father, who's always upset with me, lets me live in the garage. So he came in with like his pants, these old gym kind of things, made out of cotton, not these Nike kind of things, with a tie on it. And and his wallet looked like some horrible piece of leather with just one thing in it. It was a riot because we asked him, you have to like put down your demographics. And then a shirt that was torn, a T-shirt. And he says, I really, really want you to give me the access to be able to be creative. I really want to become a great songwriter. And I said, really, I think it's too far gone. I mean, you've been living in the garage this long. How many songs do you have written so far? He says, 3. I go, how long did it take you? I said, well, I told you I've been living there 5 years. I said, 3 songs in 5 years? I said, this won't work. This is not good. I mean, you sure you want to go through this? You want to have this ability? Maybe you want to do something else? He said, no, I really want to be a musician, someone who writes songs. So I said, okay, I'm not going to do this for you unless you're very, very, how serious I was with you? I was even worse with him. I said, I'm not.
You were very serious with me. Like I thought you didn't want to work with me.
That's right.
You're asking me all these questions.
That's right.
Are you really?
I was going to throw you out.
Yeah.
I was going to throw you out.
Yeah.
I'm always going to throw everybody out. Really?
No, I felt that. I felt like I was going to get thrown out.
Yeah, I was going to throw you out.
Right.
Because I have to have you realize that this is going to be your chance, and you have to see that, and you have to want that. If you don't want that, then you can go back to the world as it is, which I call sort of the culture which we've come, which sort of always tells you have limitations. As time goes on, you have more limitations. As time goes on, you have more to complain about, and your life isn't this expanding, wonderful thing where you get to find out that, you can hit when I do with the golfers, that you can sink a 40-foot putt without, that's another one, is that you have the ability to be way more high performance.
So we've got health, and this. So the singer-songwriter, he turned out to be successful?
It's really a funny story. So I finally said, I will treat you only if you, and I don't do this many people, but you have to text me every day. And for me, I'm still doing surgeries every day. I'm just doing treatments in the evening and on the weekend, and then lecturing on the weekend and traveling. That's how I've been going for the past, 15 years. And some people always go, how can you keep going like that all the time? I mean, don't you need a break? And I went, no, because the energy is like a riot. I'm loving it. I'm loving life. The whole thing is one big joy. You even have an exercise
you do when you travel, which we'll tell people about here.
Yeah, we might show them. Yeah, I do all the.
We'll tell you guys something cool at the end of the podcast.
All the exercises I put up for people to do, I do them all. I've been doing them for years. If you find a way to do them, that's another one that people find out that they're able to do, which is that you don't have to have anxiety about being able to get everything in. As I told you before, we have a neurosurgeon from Johns Hopkins who she has to get to the hospital at 5 a.m. to do these great operations. And they're serious operations. So she came to me and says, I can't get all the exercises in. What do I do? I said, do them in the shower. Do them in between surgeries like I do. And so she actually has her nurses finally learn to do them with her in between cases. And her results are like mine over the years, which is because I was so busy, I had to have perfect results in all my surgeries so I could get to you in the evening and the weekend. So my results in surgeries all these years, over 30 years, has been stellar. I've had really great results. Wow. Matter of fact, all the nurses knew that if I come in, it's not going to be any complications. Yeah. It's going to be a great result, which I was happy for, not as an ego thing, but happy for a place that, the energy works even in surgery. It allows you to have your hands be, just like with the athletes, way more flexible, and your perceptivity gets more specific so that you can actually see things more clearly.
Well, I'm already experiencing some of that, and I'm still on kind of like the energy low.
No, you're on the very beginning.
Yeah,
very beginning.
Health, performance, prowess, creativity, serendipity, decreased anxiety. What are another?
Well, the decreased anxiety is really funny. It's a really quick story on that.
Yeah.
There's this lady who came. She actually saw one of the people who was in one of the courses that I have, and she heard her talking about how her victories were on the airplane, and she leans forward in between. You can imagine this little head appears between two seats on an airplane, and she says, "What are you all doing?" And this lady was in med school, and she was about to drop out of med school. She was on multiple medications because she had all the anxiety disorders, severe, and she's going to drop out. And they said, "Well, you just go see Dr. B, one of his courses. You'll find that you'll be able to find a way through." So I actually met this lady, and she did well. She did all the exercises, she practiced, and she eventually stopped all her medications. And she eventually not only graduated medical school, but she got to be president of her class. And then the next thing, which you would not have expected, because this is a lady who shook when I met her. It was like this. You know, a lot of people are very nervous, but this lady's nervous all the time. And she was able to move out of her parents' sort of hovercraft existence, because she was from the Middle East and was very, very serious about what the parents tell you to do. They tell you what to do. You have to do it. Who to marry. She eventually married the guy she wanted, which wasn't from their race or from their ethnicity or from their religion. And he fit right in. He's a typical American guy. And then she went on and got a great job. And she's doing excellent as a physician and a teacher. And she even has time, because it allows you not to have anxiety. You're able to just keep going on to the next thing, You don't keep doubting yourself. So that's one of the biggest things, is you don't, no overwhelm, no anxiety. You can multitask.
And then better relationships?
Relationships is that people want to meet the right person. People want to we have 50% divorce rate, right? And so many people came to me and said, I really am not doing so great in my marriage. Matter of fact, I'm out of my marriage, or I'm thinking about getting divorced. And I went, okay. They said, will this help me? I go, yeah, it's one of the 8. You just do the practices, make your goals. If you want to stay together, or if you don't know yet, as you start feeling better and better, you're going to be returned to that place where, 1, you don't have to take all these medications to calm your anger down at the other person. 2, you're going to be more like you were when you met them. So you're going to actually be more clear who's over there. You're not going to be this person who's built up all these grudges, and then you can make a good decision. So a lot of people come who are on the verge of divorce, and they decide they're going to stay together, and you can meet lots of those people if you come to any of the seminars or meet people around the United States. They'll tell you, and you have testimonies about that, which I'm very happy about, because people then renew their love for each other, and I don't have to do anything. I told you, it's the best thing about this energy is that you do the work. All I do is give you the access, and then you just make yourself, if you want these 8 to be present in your life every day, you get to do it. Just listen to the video, watch the video for 15 minutes twice a day, or do the exercise. It's very, very...
And these are all the things that you just get access to within an app. These breathing audios,
the app, or one of the programs that we're going to make available.
Gotcha. Now,
so the relationships can do good. And also you can find your soulmate.
Not to put you on the spot, but you also talked about how you're able to do things like work on people from afar. Like that you told me that you would actually be somehow passing on energy to me, or working on me, or working with me somehow after I left. So,
I think this is a really interesting topic, but it's really much larger, because it all deals with what the energy is really about, which is physics. So I know that...
Get into that a little bit.
Okay, so everybody thinks that... Well, let's start with this. Everybody thinks that this is a cup. Okay, it's fine. Right. Everybody thinks it's a table, and this is a hand. Okay, there's 3 different things. But actually, if you look under an electron microscope and keep going lower and lower, what do you see? You see, cells, and then finally you see cells in the wood, and you see things until finally you get down to molecules, and then atoms, and then inside neutrinos and all those things. Until finally, if you go really, 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 really far, it's just a dot and a dash, a dot and a wave. And then the worst part about it, which is... the quantum people all get thrilled about, which is that, when you look at the dot, it doesn't stay there, it becomes a wave. When you look at the wave, it becomes a dot. So the human has an interaction. Right. So really...
a human's thoughts and energies.
So what we really are, whatever's going on that's at the basis of everything is a dynamic. It's an action process called a vibration. And that's what life is. Life is moving and expanding. So that's going... So if at the base of everything is really the same thing, a vibration... then you really have access to that, and you really can affect that. And people like to make, fantasy stories about it, but it's not a fantasy at all. you can actually, and I'm sure you've had, because you've got, 2 kids, right? And sometime it's occurred to you that I better call home. I better call home and talk to my child about this thing that's been bugging me. And you'll call, and the child will be right there, and that'll be exactly what the child's thinking about, and that's what you're thinking about. And you'll go, oh, isn't that unusual? But no, it's serendipity on command. You're hooking in to the fact that there is a connection that you can make between people that if you study physics even more, and you can just go into all about quantum physics, about the fact that you were not as separated from everything that you think you are. You're actually, all the benefits come from recognizing you're not separated.
Yeah, there's great books about this. Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton, Healing and Recovery by David Hawkins,
right.
Healing is Voltage by Jerry Tennant.
Right.
Yeah.
And the benefit is that some people go, well, how far does this go? I go, you limit it. And they go, I limit it. I go, yeah. Why is it you think when you see the Hubble and see those beautiful things out in the outer space that you think that's away from you? Why do you think that you're on a small planet, in a little tiny planet, in a distant constellation, far off somewhere in the universe, and you don't really matter that much except in, whatever you call society, and that's all that's going? What if you were connected to all that? Now, if I present that to the medical community, there's no science behind that, but in physics there is. There's a lot of connections that we have, and if you use those things from physics, you can calm down a little bit. But if you use these practices, you start to experience it. So you get to say, I want to talk to my wife, in 15 minutes. And then as soon as I finish this, she'll call you right then and there. And you'll go, honey, you called me right on time. Says, yeah, I just had this urge to call you. Because you start to communicate in a different way. Some people talk about it when they have a baby. They go, I think I can tell things from the baby and connect back and forth. Or mothers with their children, the first year or two, they go, I can tell everything that's going on with them. Well, that's not just that distance. It can be a far distance. And with these techniques, you can actually have a great benefit. So that's part of the 8, that you actually are not limited in terms of what your future is going to be like, how far you can have effects in your life. You don't have to just be a good, say, construction worker. You don't have to be just a good student. You don't have to just be a good athlete. You can be a good athlete, and you can be a creator of things. You can be someone who's an artist. You can be a musician all at the same time. Oh, going back to this guy, what happened to him was... so we made this rule that we do it. He says, yes, please do it. I said,
the singer-songwriter.
Yeah, I said, if you don't do this, I said, this is not going to work. You're going to have to do the practice, and I'm going to check on you because you're so in the opposite way of sort of sucked into the world is my garage. Well, within about 6 to 8 months, he ended up writing 12, 13 more songs and created an album. And then after he created the album, he said, well, now I want to really get it out into the public because that's my real goal. And so I said, okay, just start doing these practices and make goals. And then eventually, as I told you, that he even got initially somebody from the Rolling Stones, one of the managers from them, to look at his work. And finally, he settled down with an even better manager and then got referred to Radiohead. Amazing. So he's now with them. And so his music's coming out. And since then, he's done work for Beyonce. He's done work for a lot of famous people in terms of, songs sometimes come out and Beyonce will do the song, but she doesn't think it's great enough. So they do a thing called they rewrite the thing, redo it the way she wants it. So he's been doing a lot of that kind of work. So now he comes to me, he goes, this happened about a year ago. He said, I'm really messed up again. I go, calm down. What is it? He says, well, they want me to sign these contracts. And I've never signed a contract in my life. And I said, so should I sign it? I go, no, you have to read it. He goes, I don't know how to read a contract. I've never learned that. I said, who are you going to trust to read it? He goes, well, maybe my dad. I go, no, you're going to learn how to read a contract. This is your life. You can do it with the energy. Your brain, that's another one. Your Einstein part of your brain, your intelligence can actually expand with life. You don't have to all look forward to getting less and less intelligent. You can actually have your brain get better and stronger. And so I said, you can learn what's in a contract. So he became able to look at it, became able to even understand it. And finally he said, well, this part looks weird. I go, yeah, it's not in your favor, is it? And so then finally he got another lawyer, and then they discussed it, and he's very happy and finally signed a contract that he's safe in, that he's not in danger. Because, a lot of people sign contracts in the music industry that you hear horrible stories about that they didn't have success.
Now, obviously, not everybody is a rock star or a professional athlete,
or living in a garage,
or living in their garage, or a U.S. senator able to pay. Because I mean, frankly, I'll be honest, like, you're expensive for someone to come down to Pasadena and get these treatments one-on-one with you. It's kind of the next level. But you've got all of this inside of an app, all these breathing exercises, all of the physical exercises, all the lectures from you. You've actually designed those and you've made them available in an app that people can download. Mm-hmm. And actually, what we're doing for this podcast, and Barry's been very generous to do this because I don't believe this is something you've done before, is this app is available to you guys to actually download for free. And not only are we putting in some specific breathing and meditation exercises that Barry has handpicked for the app, but what I talked to him about was how many of you who are listening in or who are watching, you're out there doing some crazy things. I know you guys are living a limitless life and doing triathlons and Spartan races and marathons and CrossFit workouts, or else you're just hard charging, right? You're trying to achieve as much as possible in life. And so what I wanted Barry to also do was a video to actually enhance your physical performance. If I'm not mistaken, it's one of the similar videos that you do, like when you're traveling, when you get off an airplane. Yeah. Because we all feel like crap when we get off an airplane.
Right, because airplanes, unfortunately, there's like at least 100 things that are not good about airplanes.
Right.
Not only what you're breathing, which is all the fumes and the fuel, not only recycled air,
solar radiation, farts,
and also being placed into a sardine can seat that's shaped like this is non-ergonomic, so that when you get out, all the people are like this, and then
rude stewardesses.
The stewardesses, because that's all they hear all day is people complaining, so they become like this, which is no fun, and there's no person there to relate to. So I have these exercises I always do either on the plane or while I'm waiting.
How long do they take, these exercises that you do?
No, all the exercises are short.
Most of the stuff's fast, because I've been going through the app myself. We're talking like 10, 20 minutes for most of the stuff.
Exercises in this discipline. Remember, I was hanging on the mountain to discover these vibrations so that I could get off the mountain successfully, not slip all the way down, because I don't have any crampons or anything to hold me there. And plus, it's winter and it's cold, and I'm supposed to be able to generate heat, and I'm not even dressed appropriately for that. You don't have to do that. You just get the vibration, which we've got loaded into each one of these videos or audios, along with some translation, didactic material from the ancient days of what I was trained in China. And then the exercises are very quick. The exercises, see, the trouble with...
the one you have me doing in the morning and the evening takes me about 60 seconds.
Yeah. Your exercises, really, what do you want? You want exercises that difficult, or you want exercises that gets results?
Right.
These give results. So that's why you'll see me doing them every morning. I would not go through a day without doing exercise in the morning and the afternoon. That's how I was able to do surgeries and have such a great record, thank goodness, every year after year after year, and also going then into the evening and do treatments or write lectures on the weekend. And so people now, all you need to know is you have these sensors throughout your body, and you don't even have to feel it. With time, you'll start to notice things like you're noticing, which is the world really the way it's here in reality, not this... some people call veils in front of your eyes, and you have to go through tons of hours of meditation to finally, hopefully, the veils will separate. And you get that automatically. You don't have to do the 1,000 million hours of meditation. You can still do the meditation, but your meditation will now work. That was the other great thing I found out, that these energy techniques work with people who, doesn't matter what your faith is, what your religion is, what your ethnicity. I've had people who are priests, one cardinal, people from the Islamic religion, Jewish, all those people, different countries, different races, it all worked for them because people really were so much similar. You have no idea. I think it's only surgeons who really know this, but they don't talk about that much, is that when you cut open a person who's African and you cut up a person who's Norwegian, it's the same system. There's everything there. It's pretty much, we have this glaze, this cultural thing where we make everybody different so much in a bad way, rather than we're very similar in a way that we can really work with each other. So some of the videos are about you having a relationship in your community. You feeling, remember we were talking about relationship itself? You feel love more for people because you're feeling sufficient. See, one of the great things, one of the big three about the whole energy system is that it's easy, like you said. It's not difficult. You just need to practice them. but that also your body is set up so that you're really meant to be competent. And you just don't know that. You've been trained that you need to be confident. Confident. There's all these courses and books on, hey, we need to bang you up and we're going to get you motivated. You're going to be really feeling confident. You're going to go out there and you're going to do it. That actually inside, if you can, and you're starting to experience this, as your health and your vibrational sense of your body starts healing itself, you become stronger and you become competent. And then you don't have to have jack yourself up. You don't have to take a lot of medications because you're actually able.
Amazing.
I once treated, I don't think I told you this, I once treated a little guy about 6.5 years old or 7 years old, and his mother brought him to me because he was failing at t-ball and baseball, and he wanted to quit. And she said, I don't want him to quit. I mean, he's so young. Is there anything you can do for him? So I said, okay, same amount of time treatment. So I brought him in the room, and the good thing about the energy is that this source energy is it allows you, doesn't matter what the age group is, people all of a sudden go, I know what this is. I felt this a long time ago. I just don't remember how to get it back, but now I got it. I don't want to lose this. So I started talking to this little guy. I go, what is going on with you? And he goes, oh, I can't catch a ball, and I can't throw the ball, and I can't hit the ball, and I don't want to play baseball anymore. I go, okay. I said, well, who taught you how to play? So a lot of coaches. I said, let me see how you catch a ball. So he goes like this, he puts his hand out like that. And I go, no. And I said, show me another way to do it. He says, well, or like this, or like that. I said, no. I said, who taught you these techniques? He said, well, the coaches. I said, let me see you try to hit. And so he tried to hit. I had tennis balls in there, so I practiced it. He was terrible. He goes like this or like that. Couldn't do it. I said, so, you're doing everything wrong. He goes, I'm doing everything wrong. Yeah, wrong. That's why you're not succeeding. I said, you're trying to hit the ball from here, or you're trying to catch the ball from here or something. That's not how you catch the ball. Inside who you are, you're competent. You actually are made to be able to catch a baseball. You can't think fast enough to do what you ever see those guys in the outfield who they run, do 2 or 3 flips on the grass.
It's like it's subconscious.
Yeah, and then say, well, it's who you are. Everybody calls it subconscious. You're just going to be conscious. I'm going to catch that ball somehow, and you start running like hell, and somehow you and the ball interact until finally, boom, you've got the ball in your glove, and you love the experience. So I said, you don't need to use any of these techniques. You just forget them all. They're not going to help you anyway. I said, you're going to catch the ball from your whole body, your whole pulling in the energy of your body. Your body can pull it in so that you can be competent. You don't have to develop some new technique. You're made to catch a ball. And so then I said, I'll show you. So I started to take a ball like this, and I would just throw it at him at a different angle, or I would throw it up in the air, or I would throw it at a different place, and he would all of a sudden go, he'd catch it. And he'd catch it. I said, see, you don't really need to think. Your body's set to do it. And so then I started making it very difficult. I'd bounce one, I'd throw it off the wall. And eventually, and then we did the same thing with hitting, I found out from his mother that the following week, he did so well in his sport that he now is at home and he's always juggling. He's throwing fruit up in the air and catching his mouth. Wow. He's always catching things. He's like, catching things is the most fun thing in the world because you realize it's inside of you.
Right. It's become effortless.
Yeah, it's who you are. It's what you're made of. It's not positive thinking. You don't have to think positive. Who you are is you are positive. You are set up to win. That's part of the 8.
Amazing. Now, what Dr. B and I are doing for you guys is we're making this app available for you to download for free. You can go to bengreenfieldfitness.com/EFS, as in Energy for Success. bengreenfieldfitness.com/EFS. Now go there to grab the app, but pay close attention because after you get the app, there's going to be a page that thanks you afterwards. And I'm making a couple special videos for you on that page. For any of you who want to take a deep dive, for any of you who want to take this to the next level, pay close attention to the video, pay close attention to what happens after you go to bengreenfieldfitness.com/EFS and grab that app, because I think you're going to really like what Dr. B and I have put together for you. I really, really want you to experience what I've just begun to experience the past few days and what many other people have found to be completely epic and life transforming. It doesn't matter who you are, soccer mom, pro athlete, CEO, this is the type of thing that is going to take you to the next level. Enhanced performance, increased creativity, serendipity on command, improved health, all the things that Dr. B and I have been talking about. So bengreenfieldfitness.com/EFS, grab the app there. If you have questions or if you have comments for Dr. B or I'm going to keep track of all the show notes where you can read Dr. B's bio,
go to his website, take a deeper dive into some of the other things that we discussed, that's going to be at bengreenfieldfitness.com/energy. That's bengreenfieldfitness.com/energy. So show notes are at bengreenfieldfitness.com/energy. The app that you can download right now for free is at bengreenfieldfitness.com/EFS. Dr. B, crazy white doctor, Chinese 5,000-year-old sorcerer man. You're one of the most unique guys who I've ever met in my life.
Here to serve.
Super happy to have made you.
Here to have all you all get the life you always wanted. Because then, who knows what we can do together, And when you're feeling full of the energy and you're actually, think about when you ever had the flu. When you have the flu and somebody goes, hey, will you do this for me? And you go, please, not today, I don't feel good, Or worse, if you go like this, you sort of hit them and nudge them or knock them, and they go, please, I'm not feeling well. But if you're feeling full of competence and capability and by doing these exercises each day, you become more open. Yeah. And you become more helpful to other people. So my goal with people is not only that their personal lives get better and their goals get better, but then they start to have teams and they start to have families that everybody gets along.
I'm certainly going to be teaching this to my family. I love it. I want my boys to discover all this. So bengreenfieldfitness.com/energy for the show notes. bengreenfieldfitness.com/EFS.
Was there one more link also?
That's it. That's all people need to remember. Right. That's it right there. Now, Dr. B.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And until next time, I'm Ben Greenfield, along with Dr. B, signing out from bengreenfieldfitness.com. Have an absolutely stellar week.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Ben Greenfield Fitness Podcast. Go to bengreenfieldfitness.com for even more cutting-edge fitness and performance advice.